Good afternoon. Good evening, maybe. No, it's not quite evening yet, some parts of the country. I guess it depends on what world you're at. And welcome to this very special, literally almost the last minute announced event, but hopefully it's going to be worth spending some time with us today. I'm going to open up with a number first, and then I'll tell you why I'm doing this event today. So here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Well, how was that for starting and opening up an event? Yes. Oh, thank you. Hold the applause. Thank you. Hold the applause. And why this last minute show? Well, I wanted to do something really fun and a little bit different because over the last couple of years, we've had several of us play on actually many of the wonderful models that we have at Fletcher Music Center, small, large, big, in between, you name it, vintage models and what have you. And the other day, I was sitting down and playing this magnificent instrument for one of our students, and as I was showing her all the things that the instrument had, because she owned it, I went, gosh, I haven't played this in a while, and it is such an amazing product. This is the Lowry Prestige / Plus, and oh my goodness. And look at it, that's just kind of that's the cherry finish, Lowry Prestige. And if you look there, you have the bench. And what was really cool about this bench is, and it might be in one of the other slides here, and you'll see that the bench actually opens up, if you're sitting at it, on the left side and the right side, and has a spot for CDs and music books, or you could use it for a coffee holder if you'd like, or a martini holder, and it opens up on both sides. The convenience of having your favorite books handy right when you're sitting next to the instrument, instead of getting up, you could just pull the drawer off to the side and then grab the book very quickly and easily. It obviously has, you saw in the picture there, it showed a picture of a CD. It actually has a CD player built in it. You can play standard CDs. You could play your own CDs if you'd like, and what have you. So, and it was actually it was considered one of the most favored cabinet styles for well over a decade or more that they introduced. But what's so special about the Prestige? Well, when it was introduced originally in 2007/8, it had more innovations than I ever seen in Lowry's history throughout its entire history. And you're going to hear a lot of that today. Now, let's start off with a very popular song of music of yesteryear and kind of share some of my favorite features. I'm going to play, as Lowry's done really, really nicely, a lot of the styles are a play on words, and they do a phenomenal job. And when I introduce some of these new styles, this is just absolutely phenomenal. I want you to write this word down, or remember it. Classy, okay? If you could remember the word classy on the Lowry Prestige, okay, so what I did is I pulled up my screen, and on the screen it has the word classy, and if I leave it there, anytime I select one of the blue buttons, I get one of these brand new styles that were introduced when the Prestige was introduced. These were some of the most loved styles that Lowry's ever introduced, and the styles kind of give away the song that it was designed for. And the first song style I'm using is a style called Unforgotten. Now, anybody have an idea what song I might play? Any guesses?
Unforgettable.
I'm glad you said that because I almost forgot. And yes, and here's what I'm going to do with this song. A lot of the songs I play by memory, but I'm going to have a few songs where I'm going to use easy play music just like a student would. Now, if you see up close, you'll see it's got the letters written in, the A, C, D, et cetera, okay? And I'm going to just put that music right up there. All right? In fact, one of the things I love about this design, it's actually, the profile distance is actually 2 inches lower than most of the previous models that it replaced. And I'm going to just pull this out here. And, of course, I have the music lights up here as well. You can see that. So when I push this in, the lights are up here. If I pull it out, it lights up here. So they did a really phenomenal job with the transfer electricity there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the song from beginning to end, just like any other student would. And I want you to listen for a couple things happening. First of all of the fill-ins that you hear, just like in the song Unforgettable, all of those fill-ins that were in the original song, you're going to hear while I'm doing automatically. Here's the second thing you're going to hear. Most of you are familiar with the harmony section. You know, your AOCs, duets, 3-part, 4 parts. Some organs have 5 or 6 of them. The Prestige and the Prestige Plus has all 15 different harmony choices. Oh, what a great shot there. You'll see it says AOC duet 3-part and more, AOC duet and 3-part and more. We now have up to 15 harmony choices for the upper keyboard and the lower right keyboard. So if someone were to select more, the other 12 harmonies will show up on the screen, and then you can choose from the 4 parts, blocks, and so forth. But what's special, when this was introduced, this was the first time harmonies was now on the lower right keyboard. So now there was never a reason why you couldn't hear the melody here or here. And when I'm playing, I'm going to start here, and I'll go down here and listen for those harmonies, listen for the style as the fills are perfectly done into the style. Here we go. Unforgotten. Oh, thank you. Wasn't that gorgeous? Oh, just get chills every time I play that. So I don't know if you caught it, but when I went from here to, I had a harmony on top. I think it was just a nice, good old simple AOC. And then when I came down here, it gave me, I think, a block harmony. Yep, with a beautiful saxophone and strings, and it just magically, automatically gave me a beautiful blend of saxophone and strings, perfect for that song. Now, what's really cool, I'm probably going to say that a lot. I'm going to probably say one of my favorite things about it, but I unfortunately have the best seat in the house right now. Hopefully you have a nice speaker system. I notice some of you have headphones on, so that helps. But when this instrument was introduced, Lowry ran all out on the sound system. They have over, I think it was about 15 speakers. Oh, there you go. It's a great diagram right there. And you'll notice on the bottom, you'll see that there's a big speaker, there's a couple medium-sized ones and small ones. That represents the low tones, the mid-range, and the high range. But, you know, we weren't created with ears on our knees. And so what Lowry did is they said, let's make it so that when the person is sitting at the instrument, they could have really a full surround sound experience. And so on the top right there, you'll notice that there's speakers, mid-range and the smaller, higher range speakers up here. And the beauty of this is when I'm sitting here, believe it or not, some people don't believe this. They think I'm known for playing loud a lot. In this setting here, I actually have my master volume at a 40%. And the reason is I have control over the monitor speakers up here. So if you see me from time to time reaching over, it's because I could really hear it, or maybe I want to tweak it back a little bit. I get a full sound up here all the time. And so what happens is I don't have to play it at 100% volume to get the same experience as having the full surround sound speakers, and I can control how much or little or soft I want coming from this direction. So I just think it's one of those amazing things, and so maybe you'll get to experience the sound throughout the demonstration. Now, I want you to write this word down, so I know some of you have an instrument like this. If you look at the panel here, you'll see A, B, C, D, E, theater, country, big band, and so forth, okay? Before this model, and models afterwards, this concept was already introduced. In fact, if you saw a Royale or a Stardust or an instrument like that, A, B, C, D, E is labeled on the instrument. What Lowry did, which I thought was very clever, they wanted to introduce more sounds, more instruments into the Prestige without adding any extra buttons. But they also wanted to make it so it wasn't hard to find. So what Lowry did is they put in, don't quote me on this number, but what I heard was about nearly 100 new sounds, different flutes, trumpets, and what have you. And a majority of those sounds can be found by pressing one of the letters or categories with no number. And when you do that, it's called zero position. So on most models before this, if I push A, B, C, D, or E, or a category, I had to get a number pressed in order to get a sound. Well, on here, that still works the same, but now all I have to do is push a letter or a category, and it'll automatically give me a new sound without pressing in a number on the zero position. So for example, on D0, it gives me what's called the tremolo strings. So instead of having to do it like this, you could just push D0 and it'll do it automatically. Or E0 gives us new and improved scat vocals. Now there are scat vocals before, but now we actually have what they call the jazzers, where they can down, down. And if you hold the note softly, if you just strike the note, hit a little harder, down. And if you go over to the categories, the same thing. So if you put on Latin 0, for example, you get these new flamenco guitars. actually gives you the guitar effect like guitar players do, which we call it the harmonic, and it does it automatically. And if you go into your category setups, all of these additional categories that we have, like before, give you a new sound. You heard me using one of them earlier. It's called the trumpet shake, where it takes Louis' normal Louis sound you have like this. So you got that sweet new, it's actually called trumpet Louis. But if you want to do some more jazzier where he took and he shook that sound, and you're almost compelled to go like this. You don't actually, you just hold it. Or we'll hear some what they call plunger trumpets. So that's just a small taste of some of the zero position sounds. And all you have to do is turn on the instrument, push a letter, push a categoric preset, and you automatically get zero position. Now, going back to, what is the word I told you to remember for all of the new sounds? Classy. I'm reading lips. And if you just, it's still in that position. So if I pick one of the new rhythm styles, all I have to do is play, it'll automatically do that for me. Now here's one. Now we're in the month of August, and usually around September, I'll start encouraging students, if you think you have some new Christmas songs or holiday tunes you want to learn, start learning them around September. Don't wait till November to try to learn in 30 days to play, or less than 30 days to play your songs, and start learning them a little bit earlier. So what we have now is a new style here that was introduced, and this everyone fell in love with because everyone liked the sleigh bell style that was there before, but now we have a new one called Jingle Jangles. In fact, it's kind of warm out these days, isn't it? Feels a little warm in here. Whenever I do this, it feels like it's snowing a little bit, and it cools me off a little bit. Here we go. Snow's drizzling. That's just a fun, jolly sound, and it's just right for a lot of other great songs. Now, I mentioned zero position, but you know, Lowry was always good about giving just more than just one preset. So what Lowry did is they gave us some new category presets. Now, on the panel here, they have theater, country, big band, show, and Latin. So the previous models from this had the same labeling, you'll see there, and there's a more button. When I press the more button, I get all of the presets from before, but now there's a whole new group of sounds, and you'll see there from what they call harmony organs, smooth flutes, diapason. For those who love the organ sounds, you got 3 totally different organs now. Diapasons are like with the diapason sound with the wooden pipes. Smooth flutes are some new Lowry organ tones that are smooth in sound. Theater settings, the organ strings, harmony. And then on the next column there, you got around the world, pianos plus, percussion, and sound effects. And I'll just show a few of some of each of those categories. I'll do, for example, I'll start off with the pianos plus. There are 11 new pianos plus, and what they did is they wanted to create a piano on here. And if you were sitting here in front of the instrument and you heard this, imagine a grand piano, a high-end, very expensive grand piano, and if someone was playing the piano over here, the notes, the sound would come out of that side and fill up the room, but it would still come out a little bit more there because that's where the strings are, and so forth. Now, I don't know if your sound system online will give you that same experience, but here what's happening is I play the notes down here. The sound's coming out over there, and the sound's coming out over there, and if I hit it in the middle, so if I pan across, just some of the new piano sounds that you have in here. And you can go further. There's all sorts of piano categories, and you got the honky tonk. Yeah, since I saw the cat in there, let me see. Or you get the regular piano. And there was another category here. You have around the world, so you have some great instruments of around the world, from French accordions to Spanish guitar. Us, to oompa bands, mandolins, and so forth. And of course, this category here, every time I get a chance to showcase it, I like to remind people of it because it's called sound effects, or let's see, it's called sound effects category. And what's really cool about the sound effects category is it doesn't have just your sound effects to make you laugh, although it does have that. You got your okay, but it also has some gorgeous sounds, and this is one of my favorites here. It's called the Guitar Plus with nature. Watch. Ooh. Beautiful symphony with a percussion. These are all these extra category presets built right into that. What do you think about our new category presets, everybody? I think it likes it too. Now, if that wasn't enough, so there are 8 new category presets plus 0 position. That gives us quite a few. If that wasn't enough, Lowry really wanted to go all out and said, let's take all of the presets that we have, rhythm presets, and let's double them. Now, let me explain. For those of you who know this, you're going to already go, I know this. If you don't, this is going to be a kind of a shocker. So for every rhythm on a Lowry organ, if you have a rhythm preset concept or style setup, what happens is for every rhythm, when you put on rhythm preset and you press the numbers, so in this case there's 10, and then there's the original one, which is 0. So that's 11 rhythm presets. Now on here, there are 24 categories times 3, there's 24 categories times, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 8, there's 9. So what's 24 times 9? 212, right? Did I do that right? Close enough. I think it's 216. So there's 216 styles on the Prestige. All right? 11 rhythm presets, that means 11 rhythm presets times 216. That's roughly 2,200-ish. Don't have to be exact, all right? Well, on a lot of the models, that's as far as it goes. It gives you that. On here, they added one called organ rhythm preset. And when I do that, it gives me an 11 additional setups for every one of those, so it doubles them. Now, here's where it's really cool. I'm going to put on a style that I just absolutely love. It's one of my favorite Latin styles on here. And it's a new one that they call Latin Big Band. This kind of reminds me of the Xavier Cugat Latin Orchestra. And while I'm playing, I'm going to use normal rhythm preset, and I'm going to play along and just use the numbers from 1 through 10 and play a few of those. And then I'm going to switch to the organ rhythm preset. There it is. So you'll see you can go back and forth as you're doing it. And then I'm going to switch to organ rhythm preset, and what happens on the top keyboard, it's going to give me all new combinations. Some is going to be organ, organ with strings, organ with vibes, organ with strings, and or vocals. And on the right-hand side, those other presets are going to give me other orchestral settings. So just kind of listen to all the wonderful changes. I'm not going to play all 22, but I'll play some of the 22. So here we go. And I have a little fun little treat for you here. I'm going to have some fun with this little doodad. You've seen us do that, run our finger up here. This gives you beautiful arpeggios. And it's always going to give you play the right notes. So no matter what you do, it's done automatically. Here we go. We'll start off with normal rhythm preset. Rhythm preset, and I'll just pick a number from 1 through 10. Here we go. Another number. Thank you, thank you. I'm having fun, so I hope you are too. I can't always see you back there, but I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm having a great old time. Now, there's something else I probably should confess. Because a lot of times, now some of you may know this by now, but a lot of times when we're doing these classes and workshops and things like that, we'll say, well, listen for this sound, listen for the guitar, and this, it says, and it's like we know what sound we're going to get before we press it. And you know, you may think, wow, those guys and gals are great. They know every sound that's in those instruments. Well, actually, we don't. When you're thinking about the example I just gave, there was almost 4,500 presets. It's kind of hard to remember 4,500 presets. Well, I've been cheating all along. And this feature is put on here so we can cheat, okay? So you notice I have a screen here, okay? And it is a touch screen. But this touch screen does multiple things for the hobby player. So every time I have something on, a preset, a category preset, or a rhythm, what happens is in the screen here, it actually tells me what sound I have on the top and the bottom all the time. Okay? Now some models have that, but Lowry took it a step further. So for example, I'm going to play a few songettes here for you. Some other classy styles, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because I want to show as many as possible. And I'll have a little fun here. Let's see. I'll do a little Texas blues as an example. This is one of the new styles I fell in love with. You could do blues with it, you could do country with it, whatever you like with it, okay? But what I'm going to do, if you ever see me reaching over, pressing over here, there's what we call custom buttons. And number 4, when I press 4 on this model, a screen changes, and what it does is it tells me every sound that's in the top and the bottom from 0 to 10. Now, I don't know if you could see that from here, and I don't know if this zoom in will work, but let me zoom in just quickly. I hope I don't make you get motion sickness here. Now, can you kind of see that? I don't know if you could see those words there. So right here it says cool organ and piano, cool organ piano, 50s guitar / sax, tremolo guitar, sax, jazz percussion, etc., etc., etc. So when we are doing classes on instruments of this caliber, and many of the models that have it, what's happening is we're looking on the screen before we say, and we know what's happening. And while we're playing, I'm just looking on the screen to choose the sound that I think I might enjoy using at that time. So I'll start off with the first one, cool organ, piano, and then see where it goes from there. Here we go.
Ready, play.
Number 2 says tremolo guitar and sax. Here we go. Jazz, percussion, organ, and sax. Oh yeah, I love that one. That was kind of fun to kind of get you moving there. You know, I discovered one on here that I wouldn't say discovered. I think I forgot about it, and it's pretty cool. And I just learned this an hour and a half ago, so we'll see how it works. But when I was back in my band days, I was a guitar player, and there was a 4-piece band that I was in, guitar, and we were just instrumental only, no vocals. I was a guitar player. We had a bass, drummer, and a saxophone. So the saxophone did the melody a lot, and I did the guitar parts. And of course, being a guitar player, I grew up playing a lot of blues and classic rock and what have you. And this was one of the songs that we played, and I thought, I wonder if this is what I think it is. And sure enough, it is. It's called Latin rock, but some of you may remember, he's still around actually, a guitar player, a popular name by the name of Santana. And when I heard this, I went, oh, that's pretty cool. I have to start playing this song more often. Listen. Let's see if I can pull this off. Just learned this an hour ago. pretty cool. And I figured out on that because there's two parts of that song. It goes da 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 da. You have to play the ending and let it do it, and then you turn it off and you go back to playing. And if you hold the fill in that other part, it does that other section to it. I just thought it was a lot of fun and real cool. I'm going to play another songette with you, and then I've got a special announcement to make about the Prestige. All right. So where round and round it goes, where my finger stops, nobody knows. And we'll go in, we'll do it. Boom. There we go. How's that? Let's see, what do we got? Oh, country. Anyone here like country? All right. Some people like old country. Some people like new country. I like a little bit of both. And when this style came out, I thought, well, this is pretty clever. This was pretty clever because someone could play any kind of country you like with this. Now, I don't know if you remember back in the, I want to say the 80s. Was it the 80s? Garth Brooks was a big name in the country world, and he had a lot of great country music. And he appealed to many generations because of his style. But there are still some that, I like the old country better. And he had new country. But he actually had a song called Friends in Low Places. If you listen to that song and the arrangement, take the melody out and just listen to the band, it's actually got a very classic country sound to it. So when I play this, I'll start off with that song, and then I'll go back further back in time and show you how great this style works for some of the classic country. Here we go. Let's change it up. Oh, all right. I'm having a great time, so I hope you're enjoying the music. Trying to give you a nice variety from country to the big bands to the Latins, a little rock and roll in there. But now let's switch gears just a little bit. Some of you may know this already, some of you may not, but just in case. And what I'm about to tell you is, let's see, is so limited, there's probably only, since 2020, only 40 in existence. give or take. And when I say 40, I mean 40 people own some of this, what I'm about to tell you. At Fletcher Music Centers, I think there's one or two in each state. Back in 2020, as we were adapting to the world, we had to do things that we normally would have done in history, and we actually had the ability to get Bill Curry, who programs all of the Lowry organs for the last, I don't know how many years, 20 years or more, 30 years, a long time. So the Lowry organ you play, when you push a preset or an introduction and you listen, that's Bill Curry. And obviously he programmed all of the big models too, the expensive ones. And what he did, it was kind of like a gift, is he blessed us by taking a small handful of Prestiges and not doing anything to the cosmetic changes, but internally they gave us a new option called Prestige Plus. And here's what that means. All it means is that we now have a 24 categories of styles that were normally not on the Prestige. Some of them are on the Patriot, and actually the Liberty, which is was an $80,000 model when it was introduced. And these styles were kind of like almost everybody loved these styles. And so he was pretty clever. So what you're going to hear, and here's how it works. Earlier I said the word classy. So if I put on my variation screen, has variation 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 is mellow, 4 is exciting, danceable, popular, like some of the previous models. Then classy was the new one. So what happens is all of those buttons become classy. And there's a new category called Prestige Plus. And if I leave it there, anyone that I touch gives me these new Prestige Plus styles. There's also another way to find the styles. There's a button here called Style List. There's many ways to finding styles, making it easy. So if I push Style List, it gives me all the name of the styles alphabetically. And if I go up, what he did is he cleverly titled these B sharp and then the name of the rhythm style. So for example, I'm going to go up to a style called B sharp. Let's see here. Here we go. Since I did some country music, I'll do a little bit of different country. Southern 3/4. Now I'll tell you why I like this style. This is considered a piano style that only certain models had above this. And so when you hear this, the beginning of it, you hear just a beautiful piano player. And this Southern 3/4 works great for country tunes in 3/4 or gospel tunes in 3/4. You could do it both ways. But it'll start off initially with just a great piano sound playing. Listen. That's just gorgeous. I mean, you could play all sorts of great 3/4 songs with that. Or let's do a little bit of gospel. I saw one in that list as I was scrolling through. I saw one that said B sharp gospel, 50s gospel, and I just touch it and it tells me where it's at. Little intro and Goosebumps, goosebumps everywhere. All right. Now, you can't, I, I can't do a demonstration on an instrument like this without featuring this style, because when it first was introduced, it was one of those that I would say that 90% or more of the people said, that is just a wonderful style to have on a Lowry instrument. And it was originally introduced first on the flagship $80,000 Lowry Imperial. And then, of course, when the Sterling came out, it was on there. And then after that, it was on the Patriot. And then it took a little while. Then they finally worked its way down on some of the mid-size E-series instruments. And then now we have it here. And it's a style that if you play the song it's designed for, it's perfect. But you can play all sorts of great 50s loves ballads. Let me go to my B sharp here. It's simply called B sharp Wonderful World. So if you like to play songs like Can't Help Falling in Love, Sleepwalking, Earth Angel, any of those great classic 50s tunes with that 50s triplets feel, this is perfect for it. And of course, if you play What a Wonderful World, the fill-ins are perfect for it as well. Listen. Oh, that is just a gorgeous style. Now, my last song I'm going to play, I'm going to use music for. All right. Before I do, I want to share a few wonderful things with you. First of all, because the Prestige obviously has USB capability, if you think about this for a moment, when I say over 4,500, 4,500 or more presets, wow, that's like mind-blowing. But I always say, no matter what organ I'm on and what class I'm teaching, I always say, the more presets you have at your fingertips that it's telling you, the more combinations to keep all of the music you love fresh and exciting without getting tired of the same sounds over and over. So the more you have, the better. So there was, and it's a very hard to get item, should I say, package, and I happen to have a way of getting it, but there is what's called, write this down, Super Collection, and it's called Prestige Super Plus Collection. Oh, and basically, simply said, it's a collection of arrangements designed for hobby players. Each group of presets contain 10 amazing setups that will take your hobby to the next level. So, on top of everything that this already has, and I think there's another page on that. Here's an example. If you look at that page, if you like any of the styling of music that you see there, Fab Four Beatles, Louis Armstrong, Wayne, Guy Lombardo, etc., every one of those contains 10 additional setups via the USB wrapped around that style of music. So you get 10 additional setups, top and bottom keyboard. And if you go to the next page, there's a whole nother page of 50 groups of combinations. Every one of those has 10 presets. Go to the next page. And then that one has 47. So that's 147-ish, somewhere around there. And then one more page of 15. So that's about 100, that's 160 or give or take. Now 160 give or take times 10 means an additional 1,600 additional presets. That thing is worth literally several $100s. Most artists over the years, when they sold their own software, the rule of thumb was they charge $1 a preset. So you got about $1,600 of presets in value there. If anybody decides in a very short time while we have Prestige Pluses that, boy, that Prestige Plus might be nice to have, we're going to throw that in at no additional charge. So make sure to see your PAs if you got any interest. Now, this next song I'm going to play is another one of these styles. It was taken off of the Patriot or the Liberty, the top of the line A-series model then. And the style is called, let me pull it up. I'm going to put B sharp, Your Way. So you probably already know I'm going to play My Way, using the style Your Way. And when you hear this, I'm just going to play it from one page to the second, and just listen to the background and the arrangement. The fill-ins are all done magically, and this arrangement is so perfect for this song, and it's such a great style that can be used for hundreds of others. So listen to My Way using Your Way style. You see the arrangement in the background? You hear all that happening? Oh my gosh, another round of applause. Give me another round of applause, everybody.